Beneath the shimmering surface of the ocean, the underwater kingdom of Elysium gleamed like a jewel in its cerulean depths. Woven from tendrils of vibrant coral and adorned with shells of iridescent hues, it was a sanctuary for Melody and Oceanus, two mermaids who lived within the realms of the spirits. Their days were filled with the gentle rhythm of the sea, their tails propelling them through the currents as they explored the lush beauty that surrounded them. "Race you to the kelp forest," Melody called out, her eyes sparkling mischievously as she glanced at Oceanus. Her laughter bubbled up around her, tiny pearls of oxygen rising toward the surface. "Ha! You're on," Oceanus replied, grinning widely, his emerald tail flicking in anticipation. With a powerful surge, the two shot through the water like arrows. "Another victory for me," Melody exclaimed, looping dexterously around, her voice carrying through the water with ease. All right, I'll admit defeat this time," Oceanus conceded, his chest heaving slightly as he caught his breath. "But just wait until tomorrow." Melody chuckled, brushing a strand of her silken hair behind her ear. "We'll see about that," she teased, before gazing out at the endless expanse of their watery domain. There was so much to explore, yet somehow it felt as if something crucial was missing, a piece of themselves they had yet to discover. "Oceanus, do you ever feel like there's more to our lives than just swimming and playing?" Melody asked quietly, her fingers absent-mindedly tracing the intricate patterns on a nearby seashell. Oceanus paused, his gaze following the schools of fish that swam by in perfect unison. "I do," he admitted, his voice barely more than a murmur. "Sometimes it feels like there's an entire world out there we've yet to uncover." Melanie nodded, her eyes distant and thoughtful. "Perhaps one day we'll find what we are searching for," she mused, before shaking off her introspection with a playful splash of water at Oceanus. "Until then, let's make the most of our time here," she declared, flashing him a radiant smile. "Come on, I hear there's a new cave system near the edge of Elysium. Let's go explore." "Lead the way, fearless adventurer," Oceanus replied, laughter in his voice as they set off once again, their tails gliding smoothly through the water. It was another day in their seemingly endless dance, but deep within their hearts, Melody and Oceanus knew that someday they would find the missing piece that would complete their underwater world. And until that day came, they would continue to search side by side, bound by their partnership and their unspoken yearning for something more. The next day, as Melody and Oceanus glided effortlessly through Elysium's waters, their curiosity piqued by the unknown, the underwater kingdom seemed to shimmer with even more vibrancy than usual. The sun's rays filtered through the water's surface, casting a kaleidoscope of colors on the coral reefs that swayed gently in the current. Schools of iridescent fish darted around them, their scales glistening like precious gems. "Have you ever wondered," Melody began, her lilting voice carrying through the water as she glanced at Oceanus, "if there's more to the purpose in this kingdom? I mean, we've been exploring these waters for years, but do you ever feel as if there's something bigger?" Oceanus furrowed his brows, his eyes reflecting the azure depths of the ocean. "I've had that thought too," he admitted, his voice tinged with longing. "We're partners in spirit, yet we've never truly harnessed our potential." As they continued to swim, the two mermaids took note of the diverse flora and fauna that surrounded them. Anemones waved their delicate tendrils, creating a hypnotic dance, while clusters of vibrant sea sponges adorned the rock formations like living mosaics. Sea turtles lazily cruised past them, their ancient eyes filled with wisdom from years of navigating the ocean's depths. "Look at all this life, Oceanus," Melody said, her eyes wide with wonder. "They all have a role in maintaining balance in Elysium. Maybe it's time we found ours too." Maybe it's not just about exploring, but about finding a way to contribute to our world, Oceanus replied, determination flickering in his eyes. I think it's time we break out of our comfort zone and discover our true purpose, don't you? Melody nodded, feeling a surge of excitement deep within her. I couldn't agree more, Oceanus. Let's challenge ourselves and find the path we're meant to take in Elysium. Ready for the greatest adventure of our lives? He asked, extending his hand toward Melody. She grinned, taking his hand firmly in hers. More than ready, she replied, and together they swam determinedly toward the unknown, eager to unlock the secrets of their true purpose. Melody and Oceanus swam towards a ledge of coral that jutted into the darkening waters like a fractured pillar of heavy stone. Bearded with sponges and corals that were home to schools of fish, the mermaids laughed and waved as they glided confidently forward. They exchanged greetings with the sea-dwelling friends, feeling a deep appreciation for another day of new adventures in the beauty of Elysium's underwater kingdom. Oceanus, do you see that spotted seahorse following us? It's simply mesmerizing, Melody exclaimed, her eyes dancing with excitement. Indeed it is, Oceanus agreed, his gaze lingering on the tiny creature. I bet it's not nearly as fast as you, he teased, mischievously glinting in his eyes. Is that a challenge? Melody asked playfully, raising an eyebrow. Absolutely, Oceanus replied, grinning. All right then, she said, swimming up to the seahorse. With a gentle touch, she encouraged it to race alongside her. As Melody and the seahorse darted through the water and over the cliff edge, Oceanus couldn't help but admire her bravery and infectious spirit. Okay, I admit it, you're faster than the seahorse, Oceanus laughed as Melody disappeared into the depths. Just don't let it get to your head. Too late, she teased, her voice drifting up from somewhere far below. Oceanus quickly caught up and then continued their exploration. Melody spotted a mysterious underwater cave hidden amongst the coral reefs. Her curiosity piqued, she turned to Oceanus. Do you think there could be something interesting in there? Only one way to find out, he replied, his voice filled with anticipation. Together they ventured into the shadowy depths of the cave, the darkness enveloping them like a velvet cloak. Stay close, he whispered, reaching out to hold her hand. She gripped it tightly, feeling a mix of excitement and fear bubbling within her. Well, look at these crystals, Melody marveled, as the walls of the cave sparkled with 1,000 iridescent hues. Beautiful, Oceanus murmured, his eyes reflecting the dazzling display, but not nearly as captivating as you. Oceanus, you're such a charmer, she teased, her cheeks flushing with pleasure. Only when it's deserved, he replied, giving her hand a gentle squeeze. As they swam deeper into the cave, their surroundings grew more mysterious and enchanting. Bioluminescent algae illuminated their path, casting an eerie glow on the ancient stalactites that hung above them like jagged teeth. We've never ventured this far before, Melody mused, her voice tinged with awe. I can't help but wonder what else is waiting for us to discover. Whatever it is, I'm glad we're doing it together, he said softly, his gaze locked with hers. Me too, she replied, her heart swelling with affection for her partner in adventure. Together they continued to explore the unknown depths of Elysium, determined to uncover the secret adventures hidden within its watery depths. The following morning, Melody and Oceanus woke to the tranquil melody of a whale song echoing through the crystalline waters. Rays of sunlight filtered through the surface above, casting dappled patterns on the swaying sea grasses below. Ready for another day of exploring? Melody asked, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Always, he smiled, his deep blue tail flicking playfully as he propelled himself forward. As partners in spirit, Melody and Oceanus possessed unique abilities that complemented one another. Melody had a gift for being fearless and calculating risks, while Oceanus had a quick wit, perceiving ripples of opportunity and optimism everywhere. "Let's put our skills to good use today," she suggested as they swam side by side. "We can dive deep into the turquoise waters, exploring and protecting the coral reefs beneath. The vibrant colors of the reef are like an underwater rainbow, as we make sure that the delicate ecosystem is flourishing and thriving." "Sounds like a plan," he agreed, his strong arms slicing through the water with practiced ease. Upon reaching the vibrant coral reefs, Melody and Oceanus set to work. She gently coaxed a group of shy clownfish from their anemone homes, inquiring about the health of the reef. Meanwhile, Oceanus used his control over the water to carefully clean away any debris that threatened the delicate corals. "Hey, there are some young seahorses here who say they've been having trouble finding enough food lately," she shared, concern furrowing her brow. "Let's see if we can help," Oceanus suggested, focusing his attention on a small patch of dying seagrass nearby. With a wave of his hand, he directed a nourishing current toward the plants, infusing them with life and energy. "Look," she exclaimed, pointing to the tiny seahorses as they eagerly fed on the revitalized seagrass. "You did it." "Only with your help," he reminded her, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. Their celebration was short-lived, however, as dark clouds began to gather overhead, casting an ominous shadow. The gentle currents grew increasingly erratic, churning the waters and stirring up sediment on the ocean floor. "Something's not right," Melody murmured, her voice barely audible over the roar of the tempest above. "Let's find shelter," he urgently agreed, grasping her hand tightly in his own. Together they swam against the powerful currents, seeking refuge from the storm that threatened to tear their world apart. Part 8. The fierce currents tossed Melody and Oceanus about like weightless feathers. Determination flared in their eyes as they fought against the relentless onslaught of water. Their tails propelled them with all their might. The once tranquil underwater kingdom had transformed into a tempestuous battlefield. "Melody," he shouted over the howling gale, his voice tight with concern. "We need to do something before the storm destroys everything." "Right," she agreed, her gaze scanning the chaos around them. She caught sight of a group of frightened fish huddling together near a coral formation, the vibrant colors now muted by layers of disturbed sediment. "I'll try to calm the creatures down. Can you work on redirecting the currents?" He nodded, his jaw set. "I'll do my best." He swam toward the heart of the storm, his powerful tail cutting through the turbulent waters. As Melody approached the panicked sea creatures, she took a deep breath and focused her energy, projecting a soothing aura that radiated from her very core. The fish drew closer, responding to her calming presence. "Everything will be all right," she whispered gently, her melodious voice carrying even through the storm's din. "We'll protect our home." With the creatures comforted, Melody turned her attention back to Oceanus, who was already hard at work trying to tame the wild currents. His hands danced through the water, weaving intricate patterns as he channeled his control over the elements. "Oceanus," she called out, an idea blossoming in her mind. "Let's combine our powers to create a barrier against the storm. We can use the strength of our spirit bond." "Great idea," he shouted back, his face lighting up with hope. They locked eyes for a moment, their connection deeper than words could convey. Swimming toward each other, they joined hands and concentrated their combined energies into an expanding sphere of protection. The swirling currents slowed as they met the barrier, diverted away from the vulnerable coral and the creatures that called it home. Almost there, he panted, beads of sweat trickling down his brow. Just a little more. Stay strong, my partner, she urged, her own exhaustion evident, but her resolve unwavering. Together they pushed the barrier outward, forcing the storm away from the heart of their Elysium. As the last remnants of the tempest dissipated, the sea creatures emerged from their hiding places, timidly testing the waters. "Thank you," a small group of octopus whispered to Melody, its eyes wide with gratitude. "Is it over?" a young turtle asked hesitantly. "Hopefully," she replied, casting a wary glance at the now clear sky. The moment of victory was short-lived, however, as a shadow fell across the ocean floor. Out of the retreating storm emerged a mysterious object, half buried in the sand. She and Oceanus exchanged a glance. Curiosity piqued. "What could this be?" he murmured, his fingers brushing against the enigmatic artifact. "Only one way to find out," Melody replied, her eyes alight with determination. As they reached for the artifact together, they had no idea that their lives were about to be changed forever, and that their true purpose was just beginning to unfold. Part 9. Melody's fingers trembled as she touched the mysterious artifact, a sense of awe and anticipation coursing through her veins. Oceanus mirrored her actions, his own excitement palpable. The world around them seemed to hum with anticipation. "Maybe we should take this to the council," he suggested, looking at her for guidance. "Agreed," she replied, gazing at the object with an intensity that spoke of her desire to uncover its secrets. "They'll know what to do." Together, they carefully carried the artifact through the underwater kingdom of Elysium, their eyes wide with wonder as they passed through groves of luminescent coral and vibrant schools of fish. They swam faster, eager to unravel the mysteries that lay before them. "Oceanus," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "do you feel like there's something more out there? Something beyond our daily lives?" He glanced at her, his brow furrowed in thought. "I've always felt that way, Melody," he admitted. "We're part of something bigger, I'm sure of it." "Me too," she murmured, her determination renewed. "And I think this artifact might be the key." As they approached the council's chambers, they were greeted by Seraphina and Triton, two members of the esteemed council. "Melody, Oceanus, what brings you here?" Seraphina inquired, her eyes narrowing in suspicion at the object cradled between them. "We found this, and we believe it might hold answers to our greater purpose," Oceanus explained, his voice steady despite the uncertainty that gnawed at him. "Very well," Triton replied, gesturing for them to follow. "Bring it inside and we shall examine it together." The council gathered around the mysterious artifact, their eyes filled with curiosity and concern. As they studied it, Melody couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency quickening within her. She looked to Oceanus, who seemed to share her impatience. "Patience, young one," Luna, another council member, said softly. "All will be revealed in time." "Time is something we may not have," Melody blurted out, unable to contain her frustration any longer. "There's a world beyond our kingdom that needs our help. Humans who need guidance on how to live fulfilling lives in harmony with the spiritual and natural world." "Melody speaks the truth," Oceanus said, his voice firm as he stood by her side. "We've felt it for a while now. There must be a reason we were born with their spirit partnership." The council exchanged glances, their expression unreadable. Finally, Neptune spoke up. "Bring us the artifact," he commanded, his voice like rolling thunder. As Melody and Oceanus handed over the mysterious object, Neptune closed his eyes and muttered an incantation under his breath. The artifact began to glow, its light pulsing like a heartbeat. "Within this artifact lies a message from the ancients," Neptune declared, his eyes wide with reverence. "It's a call to action, a plea for us to guide those who walk on the earth, above, to live in harmony with the spiritual and natural world." "Then we must answer this call," Melody insisted, her eyes blazing with determination. "We were chosen for a reason, and we cannot turn our back on this mission." "Very well," Seraphina conceded, nodding solemnly. "Melody, Oceanus, you shall embark on this journey, but remember, you are representatives of Elysium. Do not take this responsibility lightly." "Thank you," Oceanus murmured, gratitude swelling in his chest. "Let us begin," Melanie whispered, her heart pounding with anticipation. As she and Oceanus prepared to embark on their quest, they knew that the world above was waiting, and that their true purpose had only begun to reveal itself. Seraphina's silver-blue tail fin flickered gently, creating ripples in the water as she floated next to Triton. Both were members of the esteemed council, known for their wisdom and guidance among the merfolk. The cavern they occupied was illuminated by a myriad of bioluminescent plants, casting an ethereal glow on their faces. "Did you hear about Melody and Oceanus?" Seraphina asked, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Ah, the young elemental partners," Triton replied, stroking his long gray beard. "I heard they found something intriguing while exploring a hidden cave on our island's coast." "Indeed," said Seraphina, her eyes narrowing, "an ancient prophecy that could have significant implications for all of us." At that moment, Melody and Oceanus swam into the chamber. Their youthful faces were flushed with excitement, but also clouded with concern. "Melody, Oceanus," Seraphina began, "we need you to describe what happened during the storm when you discovered this prophecy. Every detail is important." "Of course, Seraphina," Melody responded, her eyes wide and eager. She took a deep breath and began recounting their experience. "After we found the cave, the storm outside began raging. The waves crashed against the rocks like thunder, and the smell of rainwater filled our nostrils." Oceanus chimed in, his voice quivering slightly. "As we noticed the destruction, the idea came to us to use our bond to protect the fragile coral and creatures. We created a calm space until the storm passed." "Go on," Triton urged, leaning closer, his eyes never leaving the young mermaids. "Then we found it," Melody continued. "This glowing artifact. It felt ancient and spoke to us like a message. As we touched it, we realized that it was a prophecy with powerful implications." "Powerful enough to make us question everything we know," added Oceanus. "We need to learn about other elemental partnerships, both within and outside of our group. We believe it's crucial to understanding the balance of the elements and how to restore it." Seraphina exchanged a glance with Triton, who nodded solemnly. "Your instincts serve you well, young ones," she said. "Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to the forces that govern our world." "Then we have your support?" Melody asked, hope flickering in her eyes. "Absolutely," Triton affirmed. "Discover what you can from the others and report back to us. We have much to learn if we are to protect our home and maintain harmony among the elements." As Melody and Oceanus swam away, determination radiating from them, Seraphina and Triton watched closely, aware that the fate of their world may rest on the shoulders of these two young mermaids. "Melody, Oceanus, please tell us more about the prophecy itself," Seraphina asked, her voice gentle yet commanding. The weight of the situation hung heavy in the water, causing ripples to dance around the council chamber. Melody hesitated for a moment, her gaze meeting Oceanus before she began to recite the ancient words that had been etched into the artifact they'd found. It says, "When the elements forget their sacred bond, and chaos reigns across the lands, the sea shall boil and the skies shall fall. Life will wither away until there is nothing but silence." The room seemed to grow colder as the words echoed through the chamber. Oceanus added, his voice trembling slightly, "And it goes on. Only those who walk between two worlds, bearing the power of harmony and unity, can restore the balance and ensure the survival of all creatures, great and small." Seraphina and Triton exchanged uneasy glances. The gravity of this prophecy settling in, Melody's heart raced as she watched the seasoned council members process the information. She could feel her own concern mirrored in his thoughts. Their connection as partners amplified their emotions. "Such a prophecy, it is unlike anything we've ever encountered," Seraphina murmured. "If the balance of the elements is truly at risk, it would mean the end of life as we know it." "Indeed," Triton agreed, his brows furrowed. "Our world, as well as the land above, would be thrown into chaos. Countless lives lost." Melody's chest tightened, her eyes filled with tears. How could they, two young mermaids who had only just discovered their own powers, be expected to shoulder such a responsibility? But as she glanced at Oceanus, she saw the fire of determination in his eyes. They couldn't turn away from this, not when the fate of their world was at stake. "Then we must do something," he declared, his voice firm and resolute. "We can't sit idly by while our home falls to ruin." "Agreed," Melody whispered, her voice wavering but her resolve unshaken. "We have a responsibility to try, to learn about the other elemental partnerships so that we can restore balance and protect all life." Seraphina smiled softly, pride shining in her eyes. "Your courage and determination speak volumes, young ones. We will support you on this journey, offering guidance where we can. But remember, the path ahead will be difficult, and you must rely on one another as well as on your fellow elementals." "Thank you, Seraphina, Triton," Oceanus said gratefully. "We won't let you down." As the meeting concluded, the weight of their newfound responsibility settled on Melody and Oceanus's shoulders. Fear and doubt gnawed at them, yet they knew they couldn't turn away. The future of their world depended on them, and they were determined to succeed, no matter what the cost. Melody and Oceanus stood side by side at the edge of their cliff, overlooking the vast expanse of the ocean. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the waves that crashed against the shore above. They had just left their meeting with Seraphina and Triton, and the weight of the prophecies still hung heavily in the air between them. "Oceanus," Melody began, her voice soft yet firm, "if we're going to take on this quest for real, we first need to understand more about partnerships. We can't do this alone." He nodded in agreement, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "You're right. We've been so focused on our own adventures that we haven't really considered the importance of the others. But where do we begin?" "First, we should seek out other couples within our own group. Learn from them, understand their strengths and weaknesses, how they maintain stability within themselves and with each other," Melody suggested thoughtfully. "True," Oceanus replied, rubbing his chin. "And we shouldn't stop there. Our world is vast, and I'm sure there are countless spellcasters beyond our shores who could teach us valuable lessons about harmony and balance." "Exactly," Melanie said, a spark of excitement igniting within her. "We'll travel to distant lands, meet new allies, and learn everything we can about the forces of nature." "Let's not wait any longer," Oceanus decided, determination shining in his eyes. "We'll start with our own new group, as you suggested. We'll speak with Luna and Neptune, Coraline and Seamus, and all the others. Then we'll set sail for unknown territories, unafraid of what lies ahead," Melody added resolutely. Together, we'll explore the world, discovering the secrets of the artifact and uniting worlds in harmony. Together, we'll face any challenge, Oceanus vowed, extending his hand to Melody. She took it without hesitation, her grip firm and unwavering. Let's go, she said, her voice filled with strength and resolve. In sync, we'll restore balance and save our world. As they turned from the cliff's edge, hand in hand, Melody and Oceanus were filled with a newfound sense of purpose. They knew the journey ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but they also knew that they had each other, and together they could overcome anything. The sun cast an ethereal glow over the water as Melody and Oceanus approached their first mentors, Luna and Neptune. A wise old couple, they were known for their deep understanding of the spirit and their intricate relationship. Ah, young ones, Luna greeted them warmly, her silver hair shimmering in the sunlight. What brings you to our humble abode? Melody exchanged a glance with Oceanus before she spoke, determination ringing in her voice. As you know, we've discovered an ancient prophecy that speaks of a time when the balance of life will be lost, leading to the extinction of all creatures. Luna's eyes widened with concern while Neptune listened intently, his brow furrowed. This is grave news indeed, he murmured, stroking his beard thoughtfully. Can you help us? Oceanus asked, his voice tinged with urgency. We need to learn about the other elemental realms, but with both within and outside of our spirit group, to restore harmony above and below. Of course, we'll do everything we can, Luna replied, her voice soft yet resolute. Now come on, we have so much to discuss. As they entered Luna and Neptune's dwelling, Melody couldn't help but marvel at the intricate tapestries adorning the walls, each depicting different mermaid pairings and their unique abilities. Take a seat, my children, Neptune said, gesturing to a pair of woven seagrass chairs. First, let us share with you the knowledge that we've gathered about the elements here in our land of Elysian. Through hours of conversation and careful instruction, Luna and Neptune imparted invaluable wisdom to Melody and Oceanus, teaching them about the strengths and weaknesses of each partnership. Remember, Luna advised as they concluded their lessons, balance is key. Each power relies on the other to maintain harmony in the world. Thank you, Melody said, her eyes brimming with gratitude. We'll take this knowledge with us as we venture beyond our island to seek further guidance. Be cautious, young ones, Neptune warned, his voice grave. The sun dipped low in the sky as Melody and Oceanus entered the bustling city of Etheria. It was a city built on the edge of the world, where air met water and the two elements danced together like lovers. The streets were alive with chatter and laughter, the scent of spices drifting through the air. Welcome to Etheria, Oceanus said, taking Melody's hand as they navigated the busy streets. Wow, it's so beautiful here, she exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder as she took in the sights. With every step, the wind played in their hair, swirling around them like an invisible caress. King Thalassa and Queen Serenova ruled this realm, Oceanus explained, guiding Melody toward the place at the heart of the city. They are responsible for maintaining balance within the air element. Then we must speak with them, Melody replied, determination flashing in her eyes. We've come so far, and yet we haven't made any progress in our quest to understand the ancient prophecy. Maybe they can help us. Perhaps, Oceanus agreed, his voice betraying the slightest hint of doubt. They had been traveling for months, seeking the knowledge and guidance of kings and queens from various realms, yet their goal remained elusive. As they approached the palace gates, Oceanus's grip on Melody's hand tightened. Remember, we need their assistance, so be respectful and humble. Of course, she assured him, squeezing his hand in return. She could sense his anxiety, but she knew that together they would face any challenge. "Announce yourselves," commanded a stern guard as they stood before the imposing entrance. "Oceanus and Melody, mermaids from the deep sea, seeking an audience with King Thalassa and Queen Serenova," Oceanus declared, his voice strong and clear. "Very well," the guard replied, opening the gates with a flourish. "You may enter." The palace was like a dream, with vaulted ceilings and walls that seemed to shift like clouds. The air within was crisp and cool, a welcome reprieve from the warmth outside. "Oh, our esteemed visitors from the deep sea," boomed King Thalassa as they entered the throne room. He was an imposing man, with a regal bearing and eyes that sparkled like ice. Beside him, Queen Serenova's gaze held the frosty calm of a winter's day. "Your Majesty, we come before you seeking guidance on our mission to restore balance to above and below," Oceanus began, bowing low before them. "Indeed, we have heard much about your journey," Queen Serenova said, her voice as soft as a whisper. "But tell us, what have you learned so far?" "Unfortunately, not enough," Melody admitted, her voice tinged with frustration. "We visited countless realms and spoken with many wise rulers, but we still feel lost. We're hoping that you can help us find our way." "Many have sought the same knowledge you seek," King Thalassa mused, stroking his beard thoughtfully, "and yet few have succeeded in restoring true harmony to all the elements." "Then how can we hope to achieve our goal?" Oceanus asked, his voice wavering slightly. "Perseverance, my young friends," Queen Serenova replied, her eyes twinkling with a hidden wisdom. "Not all answers come easily, and sometimes they can be found in the most unexpected places." "Thank you for your counsel, your Majesties," Melody said, offering a respectful curtsy. "We will continue our search, no matter how long it takes." "May the winds guide you on your journey," King Thalassa said, raising his hand in a solemn farewell. As Melody and Oceanus left the palace, they exchanged glances, with their hearts heavy but filled with hope. They had not found the answers they sought, but they were one step closer to understanding the mysteries that lay ahead. And so, hand in hand, they continued on their journey, determined to find solutions and bring peace to a world in turmoil. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the bustling marketplace. Melody and Oceanus strolled through the maze of stalls, hand in hand, as they searched for any clue that might lead them closer to their goal. Look at all these trinkets, Melody remarked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity as she browsed a vendor's colorful wares. This city is truly a wonder. Indeed, Oceanus agreed, his gaze scanning the crowd for anything out of the ordinary. But we mustn't get distracted. We have a mission to accomplish. Of course, Melody nodded, her fingers tracing the delicate edges of a silver pendant before reluctantly placing it back on the display. Let's keep looking. As they continued on, Oceanus couldn't help but notice the weight of Melody's disappointment. He knew that their journey had taken its toll on both of them, but he admired her unwavering determination. Still, he wished there was something he could do to lift her spirits. Wait, Melody said suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper as she pulled him to a halt. What's this? She gestured to a small flyer, its edges slightly frayed from being exposed, fluttering in the breeze with a rustling sound she found soothing to the ear. The words Elemental Gathering were scrawled across the top in intricate script, followed by a design representing the 5 elements of the earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Could this be what we're searching for? Melody asked, her eyes wide with disbelief as she read aloud the details of the gathering. A chance to meet and learn from other elemental partnerships who have already mastered their respective powers? Oceanus studied the flyer, his heart racing with sudden hope. It seemed too good to be true, but if there's even the slightest chance that it could be, maybe it could help us achieve our goal. We have to pursue it. Melody nodded, determination sparkling in her eyes. Then let's find out more about this ancient gathering ritual. Perhaps this is the key to unifying our powers and restoring balance to the elements. Together they set off through the marketplace with renewed purpose, driven by the tantalizing possibility that their long journey might finally be nearing its end. They asked questions and gathered information from the locals, piecing together the forgotten tradition of the elemental gathering. Imagine, Melody mused as they walked, meeting others who share our passion for harmony and learning from their experiences. We could gain so much knowledge and understanding from this event. True, Oceanus agreed, his mind already racing with the possibilities. But we must be cautious. Planning such an event could be dangerous. We don't know what obstacles we may face along the way. Let's focus on what we can learn and how it will bring us closer to our goal, Melody said, squeezing his hand reassuringly. We've come so far already, and we can't afford to give up now. With newfound resolve, Melody and Oceanus dedicated themselves to planning this ancient gathering ritual. They knew that this unique opportunity could be the key to unlocking their full potential and finally achieving their long-sought goal of restoring balance to the elements. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over the bustling city as Melody and Oceanus sat at an outdoor cafe, discussing their plan for the elemental gathering. The aroma of freshly baked bread and spiced meats wafted from nearby food stalls, making Melody's stomach rumble in anticipation. All right, Melody began, her eyes scanning the list of pros and cons they had compiled on a piece of parchment. We've talked about how this gathering could bring us closer to our goal, but we also need to consider the logistics. What will it take to pull this off? Oceanus leaned back in his chair, taking a sip of his drink. Well, first and foremost, we need a venue that can accommodate all the magical partnerships. It should be somewhere neutral and welcoming. True, Melody agreed, tapping her quill against the parchment. And we need to provide food and entertainment as well. We want everyone to feel comfortable and open to sharing their knowledge. As they brainstormed ideas for the event, a sense of excitement bubbled up within them. They imagined the lively conversation and exchange of ideas between the elemental masters. The thought of learning from others who shared their passion for the natural world fueled their motivation to make this gathering a reality. Let's not forget security, Oceanus interjected, bringing Melody back to the present. We don't know what kind of opposition we might face, so we need to ensure everyone's safety during the gathering. Good point, Melody nodded, adding it to their list. But if we work together and stay focused on our goal, I believe we can overcome any challenges that come our way. Agreed, Oceana said, reaching across the table to clasp her hand. We've come too far to let fear hold us back. Let's do this. With determination in their hearts, they dove into the preparations for the gathering. They spent days scouting potential venues, poring over maps, and consulting with locals to find a suitable location. They visited markets, haggling with merchants for an array of food and drink that would satisfy the diverse tastes of the elementals. As Melody watched Oceanus charm a merchant into selling them a rare instrument for the gathering's entertainment, she couldn't help but smile. Their shared passion for the elements had brought them together, and now it was driving them to create something truly special. She knew that with every conversation, every decision, and every action, they were taking one step closer to fulfilling their mission, and she couldn't wait to see what they would learn along the way. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the city as Melody and Oceanus stood at the edge of a bustling market square. They had finally found the perfect venue for their gathering, a lush garden hidden within the heart of the city, a place where Coraline and Seamus's nurturing energy could be felt in every vibrant blossom and verdant leaf. "Are you ready?" Melody asked, her eyes shining with excitement, one hand gripping the leather strap of her satchel. Oceanus smiled, nodding confidently. "Let's go." They made their way through the throngs of people, passing stalls piled high with colorful fruits and vegetables, fragrant spices, and intricate textiles. The air was alive with laughter and the hum of conversation, a cacophony that both excited and unnerved them. "Remember to stay close," Oceanus murmured, his voice barely audible above the din. "We can't afford to get separated now." Melody nodded, her fingers brushing against his as they wove through the crowd. As much as she wanted to explore every nook and cranny of the market, she knew their priority was reaching the garden and securing it for the gathering. Just as they were about to turn a corner, a tall figure stepped onto their path, blocking their way. It was Mariana, accompanied by the imposing form of Poseidon. Their regal bearing and air of authority left no doubt as to their status among the partnerships. "Melody, Oceanus," Mariana began, her voice firm but not unkind. "We've heard whispers of your plans for this gathering. An admirable endeavor, but have you considered the risks?" "Of course we have," Melanie replied, struggling to keep her voice steady. "But we believe the potential benefits far outweigh any dangers." "Indeed," Poseidon rumbled, his gaze piercing. "But are you prepared to shoulder the responsibility of uniting such powerful forces under one roof? The consequences of a mistake could be catastrophic." Melody glanced at Oceanus, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew they were capable, but there was always that lingering doubt. What if they weren't enough? "Poseidon, Marina," Oceanus spoke up, his voice strong and resolute. "We understand your concern and we share them, but we have come too far and learned too much to turn back now. If we don't take this chance, we may never unlock the potential of our spirit powers." Marina studied them for a moment before nodding slowly. "Very well. We will not stand in your way, but remember, with great power comes great responsibility." "Thank you," Melody whispered, a relief flooding through her as she and Oceanus continued on their journey. As they approached the entrance to the garden, Melody felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension coursing through her veins. They had overcome the obstacle Marina and Poseidon had presented, but she knew there would be more challenges ahead. "Whatever obstacles we face," Oceanus said softly, sensing her thoughts, "we will face them together." With those reassuring words, they stepped into the garden and embarked on the next phase of their incredible adventure. Melody and Oceana stood before the grand entrance of the secluded garden, its lush greenery and vibrant flowers beckoning them closer. The scent of blooming jasmine filled the air, amplifying Melody's anticipation. Her heart raced as she took in the beauty of the venue. This is where they would host the ritual event, she realized, her excitement making her fingers tingle. Let's go find Coraline and Seamus, Oceana suggested, his voice brimming with determination. We need their blessing to use this place. Right, Melody agreed, her gaze lingering on a particularly stunning orchid before they ventured deeper into the garden. They wandered through a maze of vibrant flora until they came upon Coraline and Seamus, who were gracefully tending to the plants around them. Coraline looked up from her work, a warm smile lighting up her face. Ah, Melody and Oceanus, she greeted, wiping her hands on her apron. How can we help you? Oceanus stepped forward, taking a deep breath. We've come to seek your approval for hosting an ancient gathering of elemental partnerships here. We believe that by uniting all the magic, we can learn how to restore balance to our collective powers. Coraline and Seamus exchanged a glance, then nodded in unison. It's been a long time since such an event has taken place, Seamus mused, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. But we trust in your intentions and are honored to offer our garden as the venue. Thank you, Melody whispered, her gratitude mirrored in Oceanus's smile. However, Coraline added, her tone more serious, we must warn you that the path ahead won't be easy. There are many unexpected issues in uniting such diverse forces. But know that Luna and Neptune will lend you their wisdom and foresight in this endeavor. Your words are a beacon of hope, Oceanus replied, bowing his head in respect. We will do our best to honor your trust. With their hearts filled with gratitude and determination, Melody and Oceanus embarked on the task of inviting everyone they knew to the gathering. They sent out elaborate invitations, detailing the event's purpose and their shared desire to learn from one another. As they conversed with various elemental duos, Melody found herself awestruck by the wealth of knowledge and experience each partnership possessed. Oceanus, too, seemed captivated as they exchanged stories and insights with others like themselves. Tell me, Arella and Nereus, Melody asked, her voice eager, how did you two overcome the obstacles you faced in harmonizing your powers? Ah, that's a tale of love and perseverance, Nereus began, his eyes sparkling with pride. By trusting in each other and never losing sight of our shared goal, we were able to face any challenge that came our way. Indeed, Ariel agreed, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. Love can be a powerful force, capable of overcoming even the greatest of obstacles. Melody glanced at Oceanus, warmth spreading through her chest as she remembered his reassuring words earlier. She knew that together they would face anything, and with the support and wisdom of the other elemental partnerships, they would surely succeed in fulfilling their mission. The sun rose on the day of the ritual gathering, casting its warm rays upon the lush, vibrant landscape that surrounded the venue. Melody and Oceanus stood side by side, their hands intertwined as they gazed at the gathering crowd. A melody of elemental partnerships filled the area, and each was so unique in their appearance and energy. Are you ready for this? Oceanus asked, his eyes gleaming with excitement and determination. Melanie nodded. Her heart pounded with anticipation. Yes, I've come so far and learned so much already. I can't wait to see what today holds. As the workshops began, Melody and Oceanus found themselves immersed in a world of knowledge and discovery. They attended a workshop led by Luna and Neptune, where they delved into the mysteries of intuition and hidden wisdom. In one exercise, the participants were blindfolded and had to rely on their partner's voice to guide them through an obstacle course. Trust me, Melody, Oceanus whispered, as she hesitated before a narrow beam. "I'm right here beside you." His reassuring words gave her the courage to step forward, her confidence growing with each successful stride. The experience was exhilarating, teaching her the value of trust in their partnership. Next, they joined Coraline and Seamus in a workshop focusing on nurturing and abundance. Together, they planted seeds in a communal garden, each couple contributing their unique energies to ensure the plants would thrive. "Remember," Coraline said gently, "it's not just about giving, but also about knowing when to receive." Melody acknowledged the wisdom in her words, realizing that accepting help from others was just as essential as offering it herself. Throughout the day, the duo shared their experiences, fostering an atmosphere of camaraderie and mutual understanding. As the sun began to set, Melody and Oceanus gathered with their other partnerships for a closing ceremony. "Today we have learned that unity is the key to mastering our elemental powers," Oceanus declared, his voice confident and strong. "Together we can accomplish more than any of us could alone." As they stood in a circle, hand in hand with their fellow elementals, Melody felt a surge of hope and determination flood through her veins. She glanced at Oceanus, whose eyes mirrored her own sense of purpose. "Whatever challenges lie ahead, I know we can face them," she thought, her heart swelling with gratitude for the lessons they had learned and the friendships they had forged. Puralina and Cetus emerged from the swirling iridescent water, their stunning ethereal forms shimmering under the golden light of the setting sun. They glided gracefully toward Melody, the young mermaid whose life had become entwined with the ancient prophecies that governed their world. "Melody," Puralina's voice rang out like a delicate chime, "we have come to guide you on your path." Her eyes were filled with wisdom. Her silvery tail created ripples in the water as she moved. "Listen carefully," Cetus added, his deep voice resonating through the waves. "Our world teeters on the brink of catastrophe. The ancient prophecy speaks of a threat that could destroy all we hold dear." Melody's heart raced and her thoughts swirled like the whirlpools that surrounded them. She knew the importance of tradition and spirituality within her realm, but never imagined that her destiny could be so closely tied up to such an ominous prophecy. She looked into the eyes of Puralina and Cetus, searching for answers. "Your role in this prophecy is crucial," Puralina continued, her gaze steady on Melody. "To protect our world and its inhabitants, you must bring balance back to our realm. It is not only a sacred duty, but the key to our survival." "Balance?" Melody echoed, her thoughts racing. "What do you mean? How can I restore balance?" Cetus swam close to her, his massive form casting a shadow over Melody. "The code in the prophecy reveals that half our population is not awake," he said gravely. "You must uncover the truth and set things right." "Half our population? But why?" Melody's mind reeled at the thought. She couldn't fathom how so many of her people could be involved in such deception. "Sometimes change is necessary for growth," Puralina said gently, "but we must tread carefully and not lose sight of our true selves. The balance of life is delicate, and it is up to all of us to maintain it." "Remember," Cetus added calmly, "the choices we make will not shape only our future, but all futures now. This is your destiny, Melody, and you must pursue it with your heart." Melody's chest tightened as she took in the weight of their words, but she knew she could not turn away from her duty. She nodded, determination welling up within her. "I understand," she whispered, her voice filled with resolve. "Good," Puralina said, a small, encouraging smile playing on her lips. "We believe in you, Melody. Trust yourself and the path that has been set before you." With that, Perlina and Cetus slowly disappeared beneath the water's surface, leaving Melody alone with her thoughts. As the sun dipped below the horizon, she steeled herself for the journey ahead, her newfound purpose giving her strength. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Melody's thoughts turned to her trusted friend, Oceanus. She needed his guidance and support now more than ever. She swam to their secret meeting place, a secluded grotto illuminated by luminescent seaweed. Oceanus was already there, waiting for her. "Melody," he said softly. Concern echoed on his face. "I sensed something was amiss. What did Perlina and Cetus tell you?" "Half of our people are not what they seem," Melody confided, her voice trembling. "There's a prophecy about bringing balance to our world, and it's about us to act on it, to wake people up." Oceanus frowned, clearly disturbed by the revelation. "But how do we find the truth hidden within the code? We must be careful not to cause unnecessary harm." "I know," Melanie agreed, determination hardening her features. "We'll start by researching more about prophecy, this prophecy that brought an ancient ritual back to life. We need to understand its origins before we can unravel its meaning." "Agreed," Oceanus nodded, his eyes filled with resolve. "Together we will uncover the secrets of the past and protect our people." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden flurry of bubbles as other spirit element partnership members arrived at the grotto. Marina and Aquilon floated forward, skepticism evident in their expressions. "Are you certain about this prophecy?" Marina asked, her voice edged with doubt. "Change is risky, and we must consider the consequences." "True," Cyrilina chimed in, her gaze shifting between Melody and Oceanus. "But we can't ignore the signs. Leviathan and I have seen examples of inner strength, courage, and resilience among our people. We need to believe in their potential to overcome adversity." "Your optimism is admirable," Aquilon interjected, "but we cannot operate on blind faith alone. We must weigh the risks and benefits before diving headfirst into the unknown." "Of course," Melody acknowledged, feeling the weight of their concern. "We won't act recklessly, but we cannot ignore this prophecy and the potential threat it proposes to our world." "Then we must work together," Oceanus added, his voice set steady and reassuring. "With determination, willpower, and unwavering resolve, we can achieve victory." "Very well," Marina agreed. Reluctantly, her eyes clouded with uncertainty. "But remember, our actions will shape the future of our people. We must tread carefully and not lose sight of what truly matters." "Trust in us," Melody implored, meeting each skeptical gaze with steadfast conviction. "Our love for our people and our world runs deep. We will not fail them." As the Spirit Element Partnership members dispersed, Melody and Oceanus exchanged a knowing glance. Their journey would be fraught with challenges, but they were ready to face them, united by their unwavering belief in the power and truth and love. The gathering of merfolk, their scales shimmering like precious gems beneath the water's surface, held a heavy air of tension. The spirit element members, once united by their shared purpose, now stood divided on the matter of the prophecy. Melody and Oceanus faced their opposition with determination, their love for each other and their people shining through even in the face of adversity. "Your faith in this ancient code is naive," Serenade, partnered with Abyssus, challenged as she gracefully swam forward. Her voice was lilting, but carried an undertone of cold reason. We must surrender to the reality that our world may never be in perfect balance. We have no assurance that following this so-called prophecy will lead us down the correct path. Indeed, Coraline chimed in, her voice soft yet unyielding, as Vortex hovered protectively behind her. Change is inevitable, but we must accept the transformation and rebirth that come with death. Chasing after an ideal that cannot be obtained is foolish at best and catastrophic at worst. Melody took a deep breath, her thoughts racing as she searched for the right words to counter their arguments. She knew that the skeptical members were only trying to protect their world and their loved ones, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more at stake than they imagined. Death is a natural part of life, yes, Melanie conceded, her fins fluttering nervously, but if we have the chance to prevent unnecessary suffering and strife, shouldn't we seize it? The prophecy speaks not just of an unattainable ideal, but of a real threat that could destabilize everything we hold dear. Oceanus, sensing his partner's struggle, added his own thoughts. While we don't have absolute proof, we do have faith in the wisdom of our ancestors. They left us this code for a reason, and we owe it to them and ourselves to explore its meaning. Faith alone will not protect us from the unknown, Abyssus countered, his deep voice resonating through the water. We must consider all possible outcomes, including those that contradict your hopeful interpretation of this prophecy. Hope may not shield us from everything, Oceanus replied, his gaze unwavering, but it can inspire us to strive for a better future, even when the odds are stacked against us. As the debate continued, Melody's heart ached with the weight of their collective responsibility. She knew that their love for each other and their world had brought them this far, but would it be enough to see them through the trials that lay ahead? Only time would tell if they could bridge the divide between them and unite once more as the spirit element partners they were meant to be. Melody's heart raced as she looked around at the faces of her fellow spirit element partners, each one a reflection of the deep waters they inhabited. The swirling currents whispered secrets and possibilities to them all, but the tension in the cavern was palpable. She knew that their decision to believe in the prophecy would not be met with universal acceptance, but she had not anticipated such fierce opposition. Oceanus, sensing Melody's determination, interjected before the conversation could escalate further. We must remember that amidst change, even the most drastic, there lies opportunity for growth and evolution. Delphine and Urius have long guided us toward balance, moderation, and patience. They remind us that we must carefully weigh our decisions, taking into account both the potential risks and rewards. Delphine nodded, her silver hair floating gracefully around her like a gentle cloud. Our world has always been subject to cycles, she said softly, and the prophecy is no exception. It speaks of the need to restore balance, and while it may not provide an easy solution, it offers us a chance to work together for the greater good. Urius, his eyes the color of storm clouds, added, "Change can be frightening, but resisting it often leads to stagnation. We must trust in our ability to adapt, learn, and grow stronger from the challenges we face. Yet how do we know that this prophecy isn't just a test of our resolve? What if it's meant to show us that we should focus on preserving what we have instead of chasing after something unobtainable?" Coral challenged, her voice rising with emotion. Vortex, his scales shimmering like a kaleidoscope of colors, concurred. Death and transformation are inevitable parts of life. They are not to be feared, but embraced as necessary steps toward rebirth and renewal. True, but we cannot blindly leap into the unknown without understanding the potential consequences, Melody replied, her voice firm with conviction. We must act based on the guidance we've been given and trust in our love for each other and our world. That's why we believe in the prophecy and are determined to see it through, not because it guarantees success, but because it offers us a chance to create a brighter future. The caravan echoed with the sound of their voices as the skeptical members exchanged uneasy glances. Their resistance only served to raise the stakes on the situation, and the tension between them grew heavier by the moment. Melody took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their collective responsibility pressing down on her chest. She knew they would need to find a way to bring the chasm that had formed between them. She knew that she would need to find a way to bridge the chasm that had formed between them if they were to have any hope of fulfilling the prophecy. But for now, she held steadfast to her belief, knowing it was only But for now, she had held steadfast to her belief, knowing that it was the only thing that could propel them forward into the uncertain waters ahead. The cavern's walls shimmered with iridescent colors, reflecting the emotions of those present. Melody felt the tension thick in the water as they stood before their friends and family, trying to bridge the divide that had grown between them. It was a delicate balance, one she hoped would not topple under the weight of their differences. "Listen," Oceanus implored, his eyes earnest and pleading. "We found a hidden message within the prophecy, something that we believe holds the key to our future." He glanced at Melody for support, and she nodded, her heart swelling with pride and determination. "Hidden among the ancient texts and symbols, we discovered a code," Melanie added, her voice resonating through the water. "This code led us to an inner knowing, one that goes beyond mere words and images. It is a feeling deep within our souls, urging us to follow this path. Believe me, we understand your hesitations and concerns." Oceanus continued, his tail gently swaying in the current. "But we cannot ignore what we've discovered, nor can we turn our backs on the chance to protect our world. That's why we're asking you to trust in us, to trust in our love and the bond that unites us all." Some of the skeptical members exchanged wary glances, their expressions a mix of doubt and uncertainty. Serenade, her eyes narrowing and lips pressed into a thin line, finally spoke up. "What if this so-called inner knowing is just wishful thinking? What if you're leading us all into disaster?" Melody's chest tightened, but she refused to let her fear control her. With a deep breath, she met Serenade's gaze and held it steady. "We understand the risk, but we also believe in the power of our connection and the strength we possess when we stand together. This prophecy is more than just a tale. It's a guide, showing us the way to restore balance and protect our home." "Change is never easy, my friends," Oceanus added, his voice tinged with emotion, "but we must trust in ourselves and each other if we're to face the challenges ahead. We can't let fear hold us back from what could be our only chance at saving our world." The cavern fell silent for a moment, the weight of their words hanging heavy in the water. Melody and Oceanus stood firm, their resolve unwavering as they faced the skeptical members, their hearts pounding with determination. Finally, Delphine spoke up, in her voice soft yet steady. "I may not understand everything about this prophecy, but I trust in Melody and Oceanus. They've shown courage and resilience time and time again. I believe that if anyone can lead us through these difficult times, it's them." "Thank you," Melanie whispered, grateful for Delphine's support. Her eyes met Oceanus, and she saw the same fierce resolve mirrored there. Together they would face whatever trials awaited them. guided by their love and commitment to their people, no matter the resistance or skepticism they encountered along the way. The cavern shuddered as the whispers of doubt and uncertainty grew louder. Melody's heart raced, her fin twitching with anticipation as she braced herself for what would come next. The water seemed to grow colder around them, the tension palpable. Melody, Oceanus. Serenade began, her voice trembling with emotion. We all want to protect our world, but following a prophecy that we don't fully understand could lead us to disaster. Indeed, Abyss chimed in, his tone more forceful. Don't let your emotions cloud your judgment. If we act recklessly, aren't we putting our people at even greater risk? Think about it logically, Coral added, her words dripping with skepticism. The code is ancient, and its origins are unknown. How can we trust it to guide us now? We need to consider other options before committing to something so uncertain. Change is frightening, I know, Vortex said softly, his eyes filled with sadness, but sometimes anticipating the inevitable end is better than fighting against it and causing more suffering. Melanie took a deep breath, steadying herself as she prepared to respond. She glanced at Oceanus, finding strength in his unwavering gaze. They had faced doubt before, and they would face it again, together. Your concerns are valid, Melanie acknowledged, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. But we cannot ignore the signs the prophecy has shown us. Our world is suffering, and if we do nothing, we risk losing everything we hold dear. Change is indeed frightening, Oceanus agreed, but what's even more terrifying is the thought of our world being destroyed and knowing that we had the chance to save it, but we did nothing. Emotions may cloud our judgment at times, Melanie continued, but passion is giving her courage. They also lead us to fight for what we believe in, to protect those that we love. That's why we must trust in our instincts and follow this prophecy. It may be our last hope. Think of the generations to come, Melanie implored, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. We have a responsibility to them to ensure they have a world where they can thrive and find happiness. If we turn away from this prophecy, we choose not to act, we're condemning them to a life of struggle and pain. Change is never easy, Oceanus added, his voice tinged with emotion, but we must trust in ourselves and each other if we're to face the challenges ahead. We can't let fear hold us back from what could be our only chance at saving our world. The cavern fell silent for a moment, the weight of their words hanging heavy in the water. Melody and Oceanus stood firm, their resolve unwavering as they faced the skeptical members, their hearts pounding with determination. Sometimes we need to take a leap of faith, Melanie whispered, her voice barely audible above the hum of the water. Even when we're afraid, even when we don't know what lies ahead, we must be brave and trust that we can overcome whatever obstacles we face. Let us not be remembered as the generation that chose fear over hope, Oceanus said, his voice strong and clear. Let us instead be known as the ones who fought for a better future and saved our world. As their words echoed through the cavern, Melanie held her head high, confident that their decision and confident in their decision and ready to face whatever challenges lay before them. Together, they would make a stand, driven by love, hope, and a deep sense of responsibility to protect their home, no matter the resistance they faced. The dim flicker of bioluminescent algae danced on the cavern walls, casting a soft blue glow over the assembled of merfolk. The tension in the water was palpable, each current carrying the weight of disagreement and uncertainty. Melody felt her heart race as she exchanged a glance with Oceanus, sensing his determination mirrored in her own. Very well, Coral said reluctantly, her arms crossed over her chest. If you're so determined to pursue this prophecy, what do you propose we do? First, Oceanus began, his gaze sweeping over the gathered merfolk. We need to decipher the code within the prophecy, revealing the true nature of the threat we face. Melanie nodded, Feeling a shiver of anticipation run through her, we must also learn more about the ancient civilization that created the ritual and how they intended it to bring balance here. Let's start there, Marina chimed in, her tone resolute. We have access to the vast libraries of our ancestors, filled with knowledge about long-lost civilizations. We'll begin our search by studying the ancient texts, looking for clues about their connection to the prophecy. Additionally, Oceanus added, his eyes narrowing with focus, we should reach out to the other spirit element partnerships, seeking their wisdom and guidance. They may have knowledge or insights that could prove invaluable to our quest. A fierce determination flickered behind Melanie's eyes as she swam forward, her eyes clenched into fists. Her hands clenched into fists. We don't allow fear or doubt. We won't allow fear or doubt to dictate our actions. Our world is at stake, and we owe it to ourselves and future generations to do everything in our power to protect it. Indeed, Aquilon required. Indeed, Aquilon agreed, his voice firm. We must stand united, combining our strengths and abilities to rise against the darkness that threatens us. Only together can we hope to succeed. Let it be known, Melanie declared, her voice resounding through the cavern, that today we make a stand. We will not cower before the unknown, but face it head-on, determined to bring balance and harmony back to our world. Prepare yourselves, Oceanus warned, his gaze fierce as he faced the skeptical members, for the road ahead will not be easy. There will be challenges and hardships, moments of despair and doubt, but in those moments remember this: we are not alone in this fight. We have each other, and together we shall prevail. With that, the assembly dispersed, leaving Melanie and Oceanus alone in the flickering blue light. As they turned to face one another, their tales entwined, a renewed sense of purpose fulfilled them. Despite the resistance they faced, they knew they were on the right path, and they would do whatever it took to protect their world and its inhabitants from the looming threat.